Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Dr. Nuruliana Abdul Aziz and Madam Rasidah Buang. My group and I will be presenting our final year project titled Supplier Selection Using an Integrated Approach of Analytic Hierarchy Process and Decision-Making Trial and Evaluation Laboratory, AHP-DEMATEL. My name is Nurdayana binti Abdul Rahman and I am presenter 1.
I am Nur Shafika Shazri Muhammad Yazid as presenter 2.
And my name is Elza Fazwin binti Mersing as presenter 3. We are supervised by Ms. Nur Faradilah Mahal. We will cover 12 parts in this presentation.
Selecting the best supplier is important as it will affect the product development when the wrong supplier is chosen, and thus our objective in this study is to help the decision maker to select the best supplier for printing machine by using the AHP method. However, the AHP method could not identify the influence between the criteria, and therefore DEMATEL method will be used to overcome this problem. The findings in figure 1.1 shows that the criterion that have the highest influence over the other criteria is cost criterion, while the findings for the best alternative based on figure 1.2 is supplier 2. The proposed method is suitable to be used in selecting the best supplier and also helps to provide the decision maker with information about the interrelationship between each of the criteria on which one to be focused on when selecting the best supplier.
Supplier selection is one of the most explored and important field in optimization model and give a large impact in a company's financial and operational structure. It became more complicated because of the various criteria that need to be considered. To select the best supplier in complex real-life problem, it requires multi-criteria decision-making MCDM method to overcome these problems. MCDM problems works by helping decision makers to make decisions that are often have multiple conflicting criteria. This method have been a fast-growing field of engineering, safety, and risk management areas. Next, analytic hierarchy process AHP method is used to help the decision makers in determining the best alternative with multiple criteria. The AHP method also can rank the alternative and identify the consistency of the expert judgment. Decision-making trial and evaluation laboratory DEMATEL method can extract interrelationship among the criteria. The interdependence among criteria can be identified through a causal diagram that uses diagraph to show the conceptual relationship between the criteria. The DEMATEL method also helps the decision makers identify the causal relation among the criteria. Thus, this research used an integration of decision-making method with AHP and DEMATEL to select the best supplier in buying printing machine.
The objective of the study is to help the decision maker selecting the best supplier for the printing machine by using the AHP method. However, the AHP method assuming that the criteria used to be mutually independent to each other, which make it impossible to know the interrelationship among the criteria, and thus by using the DEMATEL method, it will assist the decision maker to determine the interrelationship among the criteria by identifying the influence of the criteria to each other. Significant and benefits of the study is it can be used in various decision-making problems such as political strategies and service management. It also can maintain the company's stability in a short and long term. The scope of the study is the process in the AHP method involves both criteria and alternative, and in the DEMATEL method, it only involves the criteria. The limitation of the study is the information obtained in the AHP method always uncertain, vague, and imprecise.
AHP and DEMATEL are two of the multi-criteria decision-making methods. AHP was developed by Thomas L. Satie in the year 1975 and is a technique of decision-making process that helps decision-makers prioritize the alternative by considering measurement of various criteria and factors. AHP decomposes problems into a hierarchical structure, and figure 7.1 shows the commonly hierarchy use of AHP with 3 levels. DEMATEL, on the other hand, was developed by Gabus and Fontella in the year 1972. DEMATEL is helpful in visualizing the structure of causal relationship using diagram, or in other words, the relationship between the cause and effect criteria can be converted into an understandable structural model, for example like figure 7.2. These are the application of MCDM, AHP, and DEMATEL method. These are the scale used in AHP and DEMATEL method.
Next, methodology. There are 4 phases involved in this study. Phase 1 is data collection. The data collected from a printing company using questionnaire with one decision maker. There are 5 criteria and 3 suppliers were used after some discussion with the decision makers. The table shows the list of criteria and suppliers. These are the data used for this project.
Phase 2. Selecting supplier by using the AHP method. There are 5 steps in this method. First, develop a hierarchical structure. Next, develop a pairwise comparison matrix. Third, normalize the pairwise comparison matrix. Fourth, calculate the priority vector. And lastly, check the inconsistency ratio.
There are 6 steps in DEMATEL method in determining the interrelationship among criteria. The first step is to generate the direct relation metric. Next is to normalize the direct relation metric. The third step is to calculate the total relation metric and then finding the D, R, D plus R, and D minus R. The fifth step is to set up the threshold value, and lastly is producing the causal diagram.
Phase 4 is performance evaluation by sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis is a method or mechanism to identify the robustness of the proposed method by examining to what extent the outcome would be affected if changes were made in the input variable. Thus, to validate the findings of AHP method, the stability of the final ranking order was tested by using the method where in every scenario, one of the criteria is not included in the calculation. Next, to validate the findings of the DEMATEL method in this research, the sensitivity analysis was made based on the Itraj and Jayaprakash 2017, where criteria in the causal group were used in the AHP method to rank the order of the alternative. Meanwhile, the criteria in the effect group were eliminated from the computation of weight of alternative using the AHP method.
Figure 9.1 and Figure 9.2 shows the finding of the AHP method. The ranking order of the criteria start with cost criterion, followed with machinery safety, quality, warranty, and lastly, relationship with supplier. The most preferred criterion in selecting the best supplier is cost criterion. While the ranking order of the alternative start with supplier 2, followed with supplier 3 and supplier 1. The most preferred supplier is supplier 2. Figure 9.3 is the findings of the DEMATEL method. It is about the causal relationship among the criteria, and the criterion that has the highest influence on another criteria is quality criterion. The result of the sensitivity analysis is similar to the finding of the study, where supplier 2 is the most preferred and best supplier for the printing machine, followed with supplier 3 and lastly supplier 1. Therefore, it shows that the findings of the study has been validated. Supplier selection is an important component in the production performance and management of the company. And thus, in this study, we are using the integrated AHP and DEMATEL method to select the best supplier for the printing machine and also to determine the interrelationship among the criteria. The findings of the study shows that the most preferred criterion is cost criterion, and the most preferred alternative is supplier 2. And the criterion that has the highest influence on another criteria is quality criterion. In conclusion, this has proven that both of the objectives of the study has been achieved. Other than supplier selection, the integrated AHP and DEMATEL method also can be used in other areas. Other than that, it has been known that information obtained in the MCDM method always uncertain, and to deal with the uncertainty, We can try to integrate the AHP and DEMATEL method with the fuzzy set theory. For example, fuzzy AHP and fuzzy DEMATEL method.
These are the references that we have used. That's all from us. Thank you.